You are constantly entertained 24/7, and that is why your reward circuit is more aligned towards quick pleasure. We as humans, we have a motivation molecule called dopamine. Most people mistake dopamine for a feeling of pleasure. They mistake dopamine for bringing a feeling of pleasure. Of course, when you achieve something, the reward you get is pleasure. But primarily, dopamine is a molecule for motivation. When you are motivated, when you have the drive to do something, whether good or bad, whether instant gratification or delayed gratification, then your motivation molecule, the dopamine, actually spikes. And that is why when you are done, especially for these instant gratification activities like eating junk food, playing video games, playing loud, fast music, taking substances, doing all sorts of pleasurable things. The moment you are done with these things, you have a feeling of pleasure, and then you can't do away with it next time. You want to do more and more of it. This is your dopamine actually aligning and creating a new reward circuit whereby it tells you this feels pleasurable, this feels enjoyable. We need to try it next time. The first time you indulge in an instant gratification activity, like gambling, like smoking, it feels pleasurable. And your brain has a way of learning this pleasure and see that, okay, this thing is pleasurable, it's enjoyable. Then it means my body actually likes it. Then you actually produce more dopamine. So the next time you are motivated to do these things, when you have the desire to do these things, your reward circuit and your motivation dopamine circuit flashes, it sparks, and more dopamine is released. So this dopamine actually motivates and pushes you to go and do that thing. Motivation is not responsible for the pleasure. It's actually responsible for that motivation. And that is why sometimes you compulsively do things that you said you don't want to do. Your addictions, your compulsiveness comes from dopamine pushing and motivating you. And mind you, motivation is very, very aligned to dopamine, and your dopamine is very strong. Once it creates new reward circuits, then just a little dopamine will push you to do things that probably you feel is an overindulgence, like instant gratification activities such as eating junk food, playing loud, fast music, playing video games, watching movies all day, taking substances. Just know that it's your dopamine that's responsible for this, because you've already sparked your dopamine receptors countless times, and then little meaningful activities that feels a little bit not so pleasurable is now boring to you. You find it difficult to take a walk in the evening without your phone. You find it difficult to wait in the lobby without scrolling. You find it difficult to spend time with loved ones without getting distracted. You find it difficult to work on your craft, on your purpose, without picking your phone to see what's going on. It's not like that moment where you pick up your phone, you want to do something important. It's not that notification, that like, that message on your phone is actually so important to your survival. But it's because you have already aligned your dopamine more towards that by overspiking it towards the activity. That is why sometimes without being conscious, without your consciousness, compulsively, you pick up your phone and start scrolling. And before you know, you've scrolled for hours before you come back to your senses. Oh, I was actually working on something. That is your dopamine responsibility. Dopamine is responsible for this. So instant pleasure actually hijacks your dopamine receptor, where you don't have control over it anymore. Boring, difficult tasks now feels unmeaningful because it's not pleasurable. But when you want to scroll, when you want to play loud, fast music, when you want to play video games, when you want to watch movies all day, you can even do it when you don't feel like it. But when it's time to read, to get motivated for things, when it's time to meditate, when it's time to journal, when it's time to work on your purpose and your craft, it becomes boring. It becomes difficult. This is because your reward circuit loves simple, pleasurable things. Of course, your brain loves things that brings you pleasurable rewards. But when it's time to work on something meaningful, you are tired. You don't have the motivation. You don't have the drive. When you feel bored, then of course you need to start doing more boring things. Don't do the opposite. Of course, when you feel bored, what do you want to do? You want to scroll. So do what you are not supposed to do, which is what? Not scroll, but work on meaningful, boring, wholesome tasks. Of course, when you eat sugar for a long time, then normal food becomes bland to your taste because you've already fired the dopamine receptors too much. And that is why you can't find normal, wholesome foods meaningful. You can't find normal, wholesome foods actually tangible and tasteful until you take sugar and things that spike your dopamine. I want you to know that too much of instant pleasure is retraining your reward circuits, not to enjoy natural, wholesome activities, but to enjoy more of pleasurable things. And then real life, meaningful situations like spending time with your loved ones, doing meaningful tasks, cleaning your environment, working on a project, doing things that has to do with nature becomes boring now until you start scrolling, until you start playing music, until you start doing things that are actually pleasurable. You can't find meaning in life anymore. Meaning in life means to you that you have to scroll all day, but you cannot do meaningful, pleasurable things in life. How sad. All you need to do is to take a step away from instant pleasure and instant gratification and align yourself more to those difficult, boring things, those hard things that your brain does not like, are what you should be doing more to rewire your dopamine receptors so that you can relearn. Because your brain is actually plastic. That is, it can relearn new things. When you do more meaningful, wholesome, boring, difficult tasks, then your brain relearns that you can actually enjoy life without instant pleasure, and it rewires the dopamine pathway where you can now enjoy your life with family and friends in nature, do more hard work that brings more purpose, do more difficult tasks that makes you more creative, and become a better person in life. That is what you need to do instead of scrolling when you are bored. If you watched the video this far, then you are meant to be here. Welcome to the tribe.